Welcome back to Okaloosa today, and thank you, Kathy, for your updates from the county. I'm Doug Rayner with the City of Destin Update, and joining me today, I have the great pleasure of introducing the City of Destin's brand new city manager, Mrs. Maryann Ustick. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Doug. It's a pleasure.
Well, I know that the staff and council and mayor were all excited to have you here, and a couple of things we wanted to do today on the show is to find out a little bit more about you, let our audience learn who is here now, and then we'll get into some projects for the upcoming year, 2012, a little later. But really, to start, just maybe some personal history. Where are you from?
Okay. All right, I'd be delighted to share that. Actually, I was born in New Jersey, but my father was in the Air Force, and so I hail from a lot of places across the country. I've lived many places, from actually Newfoundland, Canada, which was outside the country, to Washington, D.C., which I think just about every military brat ends up there. And San Antonio, Texas was where I stayed the longest. I was actually there for 5 years at Randolph Air Force Base. Illinois, Alabama, you name it, and actually in Virginia. And then my father says I made the mistake of marrying a Navy pilot. And so I ended up actually moving 5 times in the first 2 years we were married. But we ended up spending a really long time in Virginia Beach, Virginia. So, and that's when I really fell in love with the beach. And it seems like I just kind of keep getting drawn back to that. And I've been married for a really long time, and I have 2 children, and they live in, unfortunately, a long way away, but at another beach in San Diego, California.
So keep with the beach thing.
Keep with the beach thing. And I know that they'll be looking forward to visiting this beach and the warm water.
Well, good. Now, where did you get your start in city government? Was that Virginia Beach also?
Yes, actually, it's interesting. I wanted to be a teacher, and actually I went and got my master's degree in history and decided I was going to William & Mary, and I know there was a job in the city of Virginia Beach, and so I said, well, let me just try government for just a year. And I fell in love. I absolutely have a passion for service, and I got hooked, and I never turned back. And I actually started out as, believe it or not, an inspector in a permits and inspections department, and I worked my way up through the chain to kind of a assistant, administrative, and then a manager, and then a department head, and then here I am now. And it almost looks like I had a plan.
Well, it looks like we're going to benefit from the fact that you did start from the bottom up and move through the ranks. You're not from this area, but you have some roots and ties to the Emerald Coast. This isn't your first time around here, right?
Oh, I definitely do. Actually, my husband is from Pensacola. His family goes back over 300 years. I actually have a plaque in my house that ties back to the original founders of Pensacola. And then it's just interesting. Maybe I mentioned a little bit of my career history. Actually, thought I would stay in Virginia Beach, but I got really excited about new opportunities, and I took an opportunity to move to the city of Phoenix, which is a much larger city, and to be the neighborhood services director there and to create a new department, and spent a lot of time doing redevelopment. There were 13 redevelopment areas. We call them CRA areas here, but I'd spent a lot of time doing redevelopment in Phoenix and historic preservation and code enforcement and a lot of the neighborhood-oriented activities. I actually created a registry for neighborhood organizations, and we had 800 registered neighborhood organizations that we communicated with on a regular basis. So it was an amazing experience. And after I was there for about 7 years, I kind of got the itch to move into more of a policy level to be an assistant city manager. And kind of the stars were aligned personally and professionally. Pensacola was looking for an assistant city manager. My parents were kind of getting up, my husband's parents were kind of getting up in years, and so it was an opportunity to go back and kind of help take care of them and be an assistant city manager in a smaller city. And so I moved there in 1999. I was there for 4 years, and that's when I had the opportunity to come see Destin many times.
Oh, yes.
So that's kind of and we loved it there. And then it was kind of a personal reason why we ultimately left. Enjoyed Pensacola, did their downtown revitalization, a lot of their waterfront activities, learned a whole lot about stormwater and water quality issues.
Which will benefit you here.
Right, when I was there. And again, a lot of a downtown Main Street type redevelopment, a lot of economic development, work really closely with the chamber there in terms of job creation. So a lot of wonderful experiences. But it was time for my daughter to start a family and have a baby, and so I started heading back west so I would be able to be with family, and that's why I ultimately left.
Well, that's understandable, and we're certainly family oriented around here, so I think that'll fit hand in hand.
Right.
I want to kind of talk a little bit about your impressions of Destin. I know you, of course, you're somewhat familiar being from Pensacola, but you've moved back to the area now to be our new city manager. There was a lot going on. You had candidate visits coming in here, maybe once, maybe twice, to meet with the council. How was that for you, just coming back to this area, and what did you think?
You know, having been in Pensacola and visited Destin many times for whether it was beach or shopping or restaurants or all the wonderful things that draw people to visit the city of Destin, I knew Destin from going through it and visiting it. But I will tell you, as a candidate, the highlight was the opportunity to go to a community reception and meet the council and their families and all the community residents. And that's something that it was a unique experience. People were so warm, so friendly, and so devoted to the future of Destin, and that was my singular impression. I was absolutely impressed by the welcoming and again the concern for the city of Destin.
Well, good. We always like new faces around here, and it was fun to put the reception together to see the candidates and of course to see you, and then very glad to see you back here. We have some strategic goals around here. The enhanced quality of life, preservation of heritage and environment, and service excellence. And I think your work history has given you the opportunity to understand how to work with those and make our city move progressively. Any thoughts on our strategic goals and how you feel about those?
Well, first of all, I wanted to mention that in addition to the people, which was number one impression, I was very impressed by, of course, the staff sent me just a huge package of homework to read, and I was amazed by the vision, all the plans. You can just see that there's been a tremendous amount of consensus building and getting input from the community, working with the staff and the council together, trying to put together a vision for the city. And which really guides the city forward. I mean, there's a direction that everybody can partner together to move forward and accomplish these objectives. I was impressed that there were kind of three core things that the city is focusing on. Quality of life is obviously critical for the residents that live here, and my experience in working in other beach communities is that, you know, because of your quality of life, people want to come visit, but you do have to kind of balance between maintaining the quality of life for the people who live here and then obviously attracting people to come visit because they help our tax base and they keep they fund our vision moving forward. So that's absolutely critical for Destin, and it's, by the way, world renowned for its quality of life. And so there are many people in Las Vegas, where I came from, that are very jealous that I'm here.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are.
And then in terms of preservation of heritage and environment, I wanted to mention that I did have an opportunity to tour the fishing museum, and the director, Gene Melvin, took me through, and I got to see the tremendous history of this community, even before it was a city, and back. And
it hasn't been a city that long in the broad scheme of things.
Right, but to see how important fishing industry was to this city. So I really got a better sense of the heritage and how important that is to the community, and how it's carrying forth in the residents that are here. And obviously the environment is critical, and I learned that in Pensacola as well. The water quality and the overall quality of the environment are really important, not only to the quality of life, but to what makes Destin special. And then lastly, service excellence is another key goal for the city, and I think Destin is actually got a fantastic reputation for good customer service for its residents, and also not only customer service, but for partnering with, whether it's the water district, the fire district, the tourist development council, economic development, with the county, really partnering to make things happen for its residents and its businesses.
And we certainly use our resources as best we can, since we're small staff these days.
Absolutely, and service excellence is different when you have very difficult when you have a very lean staff, but they do a phenomenal job.
Well, good. Thank you very much.
That includes you.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. And the vision you talked about and the goals those are going to lead us into our next topic and next segment. We're going to take a quick break before we actually get there, but we're going to look forward to the goals and some of the city progress that's planned for 2012. So if you'll stay with us, we'll come back and talk a little bit more with Mrs. Ustick about FY12 and our progress and goals.